This is the perfect toy Gatling gun for Arnold Schwarzenegger, and here is my insane plan to slide into his DMs to get this blaster into his hands. When the X-Shot motorized Ragefire came out, it felt like the perfect toy equivalent to some of the things that Arnold was using in his most famous movies.
Grandma, is this really necessary?
What?
It would bring so much joy to the world to see him use this, and that's why I want to send it to him. Slight problem, I don't know him, and I can't stalk him legally. So I need to stand out first to get his attention. Here's the plan. Step 1, I'm going to de-age Arnold by 20 years using a Hollywood standard visual effects program. Step 2, to make sure my final project looks real, Arnold's former movie stunt double is going to review it and has to approve it. Step 3, I post my project online, it goes viral, Arnold sees it, I'm in his DMs, we're pumping iron together, and boom, next day you know he's cosplaying as the Nerf Terminator.
It's definitely you.
I told you, it's an insane plan, but it's not impossible. To pull this off, I have to apply digital makeup to 6 different areas on Arnold's face. The nose, the ears, the face, the hair, the neck, and the injuries. But first, for me to succeed, I have to figure out what makes a person look old. It's not the first thing that comes to mind, but when you get older, your ears and nose actually change. Both of them are made of cartilage, which is a soft connective tissue, then wrapped with skin on top. During your golden years, the skin and the cartilage start to lose their firmness, and that causes the ears and the nose to appear bigger. To shrink down the tip of Arnold's nose, I use a spline warp node. But I can't just slap this new nose on Arnold's face because its motion isn't animated. The camera moves, his head moves, his skin moves, meaning all the visual effects I do have to match this same motion. To solve this, I'm using a tool called Smart Vectors. Basically, it analyzes all the pixels and how they move and spits out that data in like a trippy looking motion vector map. This map understands how the pixels on Arnold's face stretch and shrink. If we apply that map to our new nose, it'll move in the same manner, which will sell the effect. I used the same spline warp method on his ear and track it back onto the shot using a 2D tracker. The challenge is making sure that the shrinking effect isn't too intense, otherwise it'll start affecting other parts that I don't want. Let's talk about skin. As you age, your skin will start to lose that baby smooth look to it. Wrinkles, age spots, and the sagging of skin will start to cover the topographical map of your face. The loss of fat underneath the skin can start to give your face more of a sunken look to it. Instead of simply clone stamping these things away, I'm using a more complex setup called a high frequency separator. With the power of math, this system separates the texture from the color. The main benefit allows me to paint away the blemishes without changing the color of those areas. Another cheap and easy digi-makeup method I use is simply masking and brightening up certain spots. For example, his eye bags are puffy and that creates shadows underneath. But just selecting that part, gaining it up, tricks the brain into thinking it looks a little more flat, a little bit more natural.
Our eyes are really good at figuring out fake faces. Even for animated characters, sometimes you'll see details like catchlight in the pupils, wrinkles, little specular highlights on the lips, just to try to bring a little bit of realism to the faces. It's no wonder I've spent dozens of hours on this 3-second project, and this video wouldn't have been possible without the support from these CG characters. Loki, Thor, Freya, and Odin, they're more legendary than Arnold and are ready to be collected in the new Asgard Divide event. As part of this event, players can also enter the event dungeon, a time-limited dungeon that sees you facing off against enemies and a boss connected to the current event. For this first outing, players will have to face off against the almighty Odin Feyfather. If you like free stuff, you can get Loki the Deceiver, a legendary champion by the way, for free just by logging into Raid for 7 days between now and October 23rd. Other than easily being able to pick up the game and play some quick matches, I like the pieces of lore for each champion as well. I love Skinner not because he's powerful or anything, but he looks like a great base model for a future Nerf Wild Series blaster. If you use my link in the description or scan my QR code, you'll get some legit bonuses, like a huge starter pack with Ultimate Galek, and another starter pack after reaching level 15 that includes an epic Fiona, Zargala. Make sure you join my clan for some bread-loving shenanigans. Thanks to Raid for sponsoring this video.
Usually the issue with de-aging is applying the effects way too heavily to the point where it just looks like an Instagram filter rather than a replica of what that person used to look like. To make sure I don't fall in that same trap, I set my goal to de-aging Arnold by 20 years. At the time of filming Terminator Dark Fate, he was about 70 years old, so my target is to create a 50-year-old Arnold. It's also a good idea to look at reference photos as my target. But it's still a challenge to paint away just enough blemishes that he looks younger, but not too young. All my work so far has been relatively painless, until now. RT800 here has been around for a while, so we can see a receding hairline and grayish patches of hair. I realized that the best way to make him have younger looking hair is, well, by taking his hairline and actually pushing it forward again. Using Lumakeers, I isolate, steal, and reposition different patches of his existing hair and then break up the edges of where the hair follicles should be. Also, my goal here is to revive that brown colored hair that he had 20 years ago. The problem is there's a lot of color variation in his hair, leading to inconsistent patches whenever I tried grading it. The white hairs are especially an issue for color correction because white has a value of 0 when it comes to hue and saturation. So I can't just take white and shift it straight to brown. I then try a high frequency separator method to paint Arnold's hair color from this paparazzi photo onto his hair. It's better, but it has a really 2D flat look to it. Playing around with different keyers and grading gets me a better result, but ultimately I decide not to completely change his hair from the bluish and gray tones to brown because that would just break the reality of the image too much. Instead, I take the brown hair I created, dial down the effect, and mix it into his bluish and gray hair. This at least gets rid of those white hairs and brings a little bit more youth in the hair. As the years go along, the skin on your neck loses elasticity, starts drooping, it gets creased. To make him look younger, removing this large crease under his neck is my main priority. To my surprise, fixing just this is almost as tedious as changing his hair color. As Arnold speaks, the shadow in the crease moves in a slightly different motion compared to all the neck shadows around it. Just this minute difference makes tracking this area exponentially harder. Even the smart vector is too dumb to track this area. Nuke's tracking tools are not doing the job, so I switched to a different program called Mocha Pro. After multiple attempts, I finally cracked the tracking using Mocha's Power Mesh tracking. This technology is able to better track the surface of the neck and how it warps, finally giving me the proper track I need.
Well, that hit the spot.
I have one last area to fix before Arnold's former movie stunt double critiques my finalized project.
For my look development, I want to amp up how injured Arnold looks to make it feel like the T-800 got more beat up from his previous battle, heightening that sense of danger. This isn't so much about making him look younger, but rather just testing my integration skills. So as a fun Easter egg, I take the prosthetic blood from this Terminator 2 screenshot as the base. After isolating the shape I like, I transform and grid warp the new blood into position. I want to match the already existing blood makeup on his face, which has a very dry look to it due to the darker reds and the lack of specularity. A variety of keyers, rotomasking, and grade nodes help me create depth and different tonalities in the reds.
You are terminated.
I think my work looks great, but the question is, can it convince someone who actually knows Arnold really well?
Yeah, my name's Peter Kent. I'm the former stuntman Arnold Schwarzenegger in 14 films. So I've been in stunts in Terminator 1, Terminator 2, Commando, Last Action Hero, Running Man, Total Recall, Predator, True Lies, Red Heat, Raw Deal, Jingle All the Way.
Peter should be able to spot a fake-looking Arnold faster than anyone. He tells me about the years spent working out, and hanging out with Arnold.
I think one of the things that we got along best about was a sense of humor, right? Because I never treated Arnold special. I would give him, shit all the time. I'd say, you're being an idiot or whatever. Or at one point I had to teach myself German because he kept putting me in positions where he would talk to me in German. I had no clue what he was saying. And then he would also, like his mother would come from Austria, so he taught me all the bad stuff that you could possibly say, right? And then he'd go, "Hey, Peter, sprech mit Mutti, speak with Mama." And she'd be looking at me expectantly, waiting for me to say something. All I could do is swear. So I'd be standing there all red-faced and flustered, and he'd be laughing his head off.
Well, it's time to show Peter my shot.
Do it! Do it! Come on!
Let's see what he thinks. And we have 20 seconds of glory, so here we go.
Based on the weapons we have, I estimate our chances at 12%. Based on the weapons we have, I estimate our chances at 12%.
Well, I wish you could make me over like that. Nice work.
Thank you, thank you. So from what you're seeing right now, do you think I was able to capture a little bit of youth in Arnold here?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, he looks 20 years younger.
There we have it. I'll take that as a win.
It's time for step 3, get Arnold's attention.
I don't message celebrities. What do I do? Hey Arnold, I de-aged you by 20 years. I mean, if that doesn't get his attention, I don't know what else will.
I invade any and all of Arnold's social media accounts I can find to catch his attention with my project. My visual effects video even went viral on one of the platforms. I tried reaching out to some of his employees and teammates, but at this moment the X-Shot Ragefire is still in my hands and not Arnold's. So here's my final plan that involves you, the viewers.
Share this video online with Arnold by tagging him, spread the good word. Because if we succeed, a sequel to this video will happen. And
I'll be back.
a reminder to install Raid using my link or QR code for some legit bonuses.